Hello.
Hello.
Alright.
Hello. Hello. Hello, Harry.
I don't know how many more trainers are left.
You're a fucking wizard, Harry.
God damn it.
I went silent because I just remembered. Like a kid waiting for his parents to realize what he just said.
Oh, why'd he avoid it? Why'd you avoid it?
Marl. Meryl Oral. Meryl Errol.
Do you want to review Moral Oral? I was thinking about it.
Yeah. I definitely want to watch it. I definitely think, I mean, from what I've seen, I think it's definitely worth reviewing. There's a lot to unpack.
Apparently, from what I've been watching, the first season is going to be a comedian, a more comedy show, and then season 2 is going to kind of explore the characters a bit more, and then apparently season 3 is you're supposed to get the fuck out there with the character development.
Yeah. But I always love some good claymation.
It was always one of those shows that I would wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning and it would be randomly on.
I just always remember it, like, yeah, being up that late and being like, yeah, it's kind of late for me too, and then also like the show kind of making me uncomfortable, like, of like, because I always remember liking it too, and like thinking it was kind of funny, but it was always kind of like a guilt watch at the time too, because I was still like a Christian and a part of that, and there's like a lot of things that like rang true in that. It's just, I. Such an honest look at that type of, even though it's like a parody too, it definitely like
Yeah, it unpacks a bunch of stuff from his childhood for sure.
yeah. Just that type of fakeness and that type of like not really explaining things to you and just expecting you to get it. Or not to ask certain questions. Like so many of those questions that like Moral like will ask, because I know that's like how a lot of episodes there'll be like some weird contradictory like thing in like in a verse that he'll like ask about, and then none of the adults actually have a good answer for it, so they just kind of give him non-answers, and then he'll just be straight on a path of by that while he's trying to do good, and then it'll escalate from there, and then resulting him getting finally punished, but not exactly knowing what he did. Because no one will tell him, because it's all bullshit. And very much rings true to anyone who grew up and was super involved in a fundamentalist church. I mean, it is. There's not a lot that separates it from a cult other than like the isolationist thing, and a lot of churches are borderline that. And honestly, even though they don't like fully isolate you, if you actually listen to like a lot of from like a lot of the like lessons and stuff that like I remember like people that would come and talk to us, basically they do basically just say like don't have non-Christian friends,
Yeah.
like unless like people who aren't Christian,
you...
like it's just making them Christian. You should be like on like trying to help them get on the path on that, but like you do have to like self-isolate.
If you were still going that path, it would be very pretentious, because every time that we'd hang out, you'd have to Tried to convince
Mhm.
me.
Yeah, just think I'd be like uncomfortable with you getting high and stuff. Think about that shit.
I hate to say it, but that was one of my. I unfortunately did that with one of my friends. He was a raised fundamentalist, and he didn't practice it per se, but he still like had the mentalities that was implemented, and he only stayed over at my house one time, and I was like, dude, I know that I said I was gonna like wait, but what we're watching is unbearable without it. Like, you just don't understand. I forget, it was some Adult Swim show, and it was at that time where I finally understood why Adult Swim was the way it is. It definitely is catering to the 16-year-old stoner staying up late that's not really supposed to be up late. That really is not thinking about what he's watching, and they're just trying to entertain that demographic.
Yeah.
It can get really weird and fever dreamish sometimes.
Xavier, Renegade Angel.
But yeah, I just remember him, like, I even told him he didn't have to sit in the room with me, like, because I went into the kitchen to do it, and he came in there with me to, like, I guess hang out, because he didn't want to feel like, but I was like, no, dude, you don't have to, like, I came in here so you don't feel uncomfortable, like, you don't have to be in here with me. I can physically see, like, you squirming in the chair. I know this is making you uncomfortable.
But yeah, I mean, imagine
felt
that.
Bad ever since. I just really couldn't hang out with him afterwards because it was like, I understand that it's not his fault, but man, do you got to break yourself. Like,
Yep.
Like, he probably has by now. Like, I haven't hung out with him in a while. He's probably broke himself of that stuff now, but man, was that just, like, super, like, unbearable to hang out with him that night.
So what's funny is, I mean, I started smoking weed when I was 15, and I was still a Christian.
Yeah, he was much older. Yeah. I think I was 16, he was 17. And he was like,
Though I've always maintained
squirming.
liberal opinions.
I've never. He was the first person that I've seen, like, physically squirm because of how uncomfortable he was. Like, he just could not sit still, and he was somebody that didn't move at all. I was like, dude, like, it's blatantly obvious.
Yeah, but acting like you're, like, shooting up in front of him or something.
Yeah.
But that's the problem, is that, like, they don't see it any differently.
But
they see it exactly like that. It's like you might as well just be like, hey, you don't mind if I get a little stoned, do you? Then just, like, wrapping a thing on your arm and just injecting yourself with heroin.
But what was crazy before that, I was isolating myself from the activity before that. I just was like, I was being a dick, basically. I was like, dude, just, I know why I'm being a dick. It's because I really don't like what we're watching, because I need to be high to watch it.
But yeah.
And I also remember him, like, passing out, like, super early that night, too. I was like, what the fuck, dude?
Little do-good.
Which is crazy, because anytime that I would, that was the only time he stayed over at my house. And before that, I would always stay over at his house, which was kind of unbearable with his parents. But they weren't too, they never, like, were too on to me about it. They never seemed super Christian to me, because they still allowed him to play Nintendo and everything. I guess.
Oh yeah.
Nintendo like kind of is safe, family safe, so I shouldn't have really looked too deep into that. Because I think, I think Nintendo was the only system he could own, to be honest.
And I'll say that there's definitely like two different types. So like there is that like super ones that are super shelter their kids, but then there is like, I mean, I still like would go play Halo like at a lot of kids from the youth group houses. You know.
I don't think he was. To be honest, I think first-person shooters would have been a little too much. I think that would have been not allowed by his parents.
See, and it's like, but then it's like, then you'd have there's like this one redneck or redneck family.
That
it depends on how redneck they are.
They weren't really redneck.
Yeah, because in a redneck Christian household, like the one that like, there's two different ones because it'll be like there'll be the very ultra masculine one because it's like when like the kids are like fucking like they're 9 years old and they're playing Call of Duty and stuff, but also like they. Like that's the one where like their dad like goes on about how like he pretty much just like spits out like Alex Jones talking points, like he's that type of Christian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
they didn't give a shit about guns or anything in that family.
They definitely weren't that kind. It was hard. It's hard for me to gauge how, because they apparently couldn't play Pokemon. Because they believe Pokemon were named after demons and shit like that, and after that I really couldn't like contain myself around his parents too much, so I think every time I came around they like made sure they weren't rude because I was their friend, their son's friend, and they would basically like shut themselves away in their room anytime that I would be around. Because that is a type of parent. It'll be like there'll be the type of Christian parent where they will either like all of a sudden like your friend comes over and then all of a sudden they have to follow every single rule and like biblical rule too that you're there, and then you have the type of parent where it'll be like you wouldn't know it because they don't confront you or do any like come at you with anything. But what you find out later is that anything that you did, they just punish their kid for later. I think it was sort of a go-between. I don't think he ever got punished for anything that I did, but I do think he might have gotten a few talks because of my behavior. Because I literally fucking did not know. I didn't know that they was like thought Pokemon was evil and the devil and everything like that. I fucking brought my Pokemon games over and like played my Pokemon games in front of his parents. So I was like super thrown off by that, and I was just like, I just remember we were at the fucking I don't know why I went grocery shopping with him and his mom, and I just could not contain myself, and I was like, so there's a demon named Jigglypuff? I just had to ask. And she didn't say nothing. I guess she just wanted, I guess she was like, oh, he's being a smartass right now or something. And I just remember him hitting me and going like, chill out. But I couldn't contain myself. I was like, there's a demon named Jigglypuff.
Yeah, that came from actually, like, that was weird because that actually would go across a couple of churches because that just came from, like, some weird Facebook posts that were from, it was originally from this television priest dude that was, like...
From the 90s.
Who was,
yeah.
Yeah, and what they loosely get things wrong is the fact, like, it's kind of, like, from the whole thing of, like, why things are dark types and not evil types, and, there's definitely like some of those like little bit kind of risky like ghost type like Pokédex entries. That's where they get it from.
Yeah.
But they just take that out of context and they say they're named after demons. Because like there's some of them that are after yokai, which sometimes yokai is translated to demon. So it's like some fucking priest like put yokai and then put yokai into Google and went demon.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Which,
So
I'm
that's
not
where
gonna
that
lie,
comes from.
Yokai Watch is a bit. Some of the
Mhm.
yokai aren't there. You should not be making those yokai child friendly. Like there's no excuse.
Yeah.
Like I hate to say it, they have a tiny leg to stand on when it comes to yokai.
Mhm. Yeah.
But it's a very tiny leg.
But it's like they hear, a parent hears that at one point and they don't even know where they heard that from, and then they just believe that is fact because they honestly don't know anything else about Pokemon. Is what happens. It's funny because it's like there's a lot of kids that I see online where it's like my parents weren't even really religious. They just heard that and were like, you can't have that. It's apparently not something you're allowed to have. Like people just parent like that. People just blindly parent like that.
That I understand why most of the you're an adult.
It's because people
You're
are
an adult.
fucking
You don't
stupid.
want to fucking you've adulted. Do you really want to spend your free time researching a fucking child's topic to make sure that it's
Fuck no.
100% safe?
Fuck no, that takes effort. That takes knowing your child.
But you know what I
don't
mean.
want to know my
Like,
child. I want my child to go outside and not come back until, it starts getting dark. And that's it. For them to do their homework and shut up. And then leave at 18. Maybe join the army. I don't know.
that was basically the way my parents raised me.
Yeah, that's it.
It turned out a little bit fine. It's my own stupid choices that I made in my high school years that fucked me over.
That's a conversation for another time. But I don't know. Fucking parents are fucking stupid.
Yeah.
No one wants to parent their kids.
I do agree that fucking people should put in a little more effort, but I have to say I do understand why they do put in the minimum effort that they do.
Yeah, because you also, you work a fucking hard job to fucking feed the little fucker, and then you want some fucking time to yourself. I mean, yeah, that's it's totally understandable.
You don't want to spend that time fucking looking at Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah. That's why I will say, like, as much things I will always talk shit about parents and stuff like that, but I will never say that I would be a better parent. And that's why I make the conscious decision to never have I'm never gonna have kids. And I don't know, if I had like unlimited money, I would just get a vasectomy. Just like in advance. Because that's just something that I never wanted to have at all. That, like, I already know, and I know that if I ever think I will want that, I know that it's just not a responsible decision at all. That's my opinion. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say I'm never gonna say never, because I might, if I'm 38 and in a stable relationship and I am financially secure, I wouldn't mind.
Also, and I wish I didn't even fucking know this, you're not great with condoms.
Why can't you put me on blast for that?
I'm just saying.
Now,
I think I would be better in that situation.
I don't want to go too much into it, but I will. Before it has to be a mutual thing. It has to be mutual.
Mm-hmm.
Like my partner has to be also okay with not using condoms. I want to put that fucking out there.
I didn't say you're sneaking anything, but I'm just saying. There's things that I want to know that I wish I didn't know.
which this goes into like, I didn't even fucking know you knew this shit.
I remember. This isn't even going too deep into things, but I remember someone who was in a medical class who took a microscope of their pee and was looking at all the little spermies that were swimming around in there, which is real scary to someone related to that.
I didn't fucking know they told you.
Of course, that's why I said earlier. That's why I said earlier that there's a lot of things that I unfortunately know, because certain people don't fucking know how to do their mouth.
Hey, that wasn't me.
That's not you. No, I'm not saying. That's not you that overshares shit like that. You know exactly who overshares shit like that.
Like, that's
I
the
think she told my mom that too.
Oh God, no!
Because it was interesting
I'm
to her.
never gonna fucking be able to look your mom in the fucking face ever again.
Not like she didn't fucking know.
I knew your mom knew, but I didn't know to what extent. I didn't know that she knew graphic fucking details.
Because certain people share every single graphic detail about everything.
Oh my gosh. Like, that's the one aspect of the relationship that I tried to keep away from you. It's the last thing we're ever gonna fucking talk about.
Nope. Knew it the day after.
Oh my god. Well, on that note, this has to be a
Bye-bye.